What if the real reason you're feeling older isn't your age, but your habits? Think about that for a second. In just the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why everything you've assumed about growing older might not only be outdated, but silently working against you. More importantly, I'll help you uncover 5 everyday habits that could be draining your strength, your joy, and your independence without you even realizing it. You see, after more than a decade working with seniors, one truth has become crystal clear to me. Aging doesn't steal your vitality. The small, repeated choices you make each day do. I once met a gentleman named Arthur. He was 76, witty and bright, but said to me with a quiet voice, "Doc, I think my best days are behind me." He had stopped walking with his friends, stopped reading, stopped engaging. "I'm just slowing down," he shrugged. But what we discovered was powerful. His decline wasn't inevitable. It was reversible. We didn't give him any special treatment, just 5 small but strategic changes. And within 6 weeks, Arthur was back leading his Sunday walking group with a grin on his face and strength in his step. That's when I realized, it's not time that takes our power, it's the habits we surrender to. And chances are, you might be doing the same. There are 5 common things that millions of older adults do every day, small, harmless routines that may actually be accelerating aging, weakening the body, and even clouding the mind. That's why this video matters. If you've ever felt more tired than usual, more forgetful, more disconnected, this is for you. And if you're committed to living stronger, longer, and better, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with the words, "I'm ready." Because what comes next could completely shift how you experience the rest of your life. Your age doesn't define your limits, your habits do. And when you learn how to break the right ones, you reclaim the energy, clarity, and independence you thought you lost. So let's dive in and uncover the very first habit you need to stop right now if you want to stay sharp and strong in your senior years. Believing you're too old to change. What if the only thing standing between you and a stronger, more vibrant life is a lie you believed for years? I'm too old to change. It's a quiet thought, one that slips in unnoticed and settles deep. But make no mistake, it's one of the most dangerous beliefs we carry as we age. I can't tell you how many times I've heard those exact words from patients, strong, wise, capable people who've lived full lives, yet have convinced themselves that growth, improvement, or rediscovery simply isn't for them anymore. And each time, I gently tell them the same thing. That belief isn't protecting you, it's limiting you. I once worked with a woman named Linda, 81 years old, who told me with a wistful smile that she had always wanted to learn to swim. But that ship has sailed, she said. A few weeks later, she surprised me. I signed up for swimming lessons, she whispered, almost nervously. By the end of the summer, she swam a full lap on her own, her grandchildren clapping poolside. I've seen that story play out more than once. Whether it's learning to dance, starting a journal, picking up a language, or simply walking a little farther each day, the moment someone lets go of the idea that change is behind them, their world expands. And here's the science behind it. Your brain is still capable of forming new connections. Your muscles still respond to training. Your spirit still craves purpose. Change doesn't belong to the young, it belongs to the willing. So ask yourself, what have you given up on simply because you thought it was too late? Because if you're watching this, it's not too late. You're still here. You're still becoming. And that's powerful. But what happens when we start believing we can't change? Often, we pull back from the world. We shrink our lives down. We stop reaching out. And that brings us to the next hidden habit that can quietly steal our vitality, the habit of isolation. Let's take a closer look. The hidden danger of skipping movement after 60. What if I told you that one of the most powerful ways to stay independent in your later years is simply to keep standing on your own 2 feet, quite literally? One of the most heartbreaking things I've seen in my years of working with older adults is how easily we accept physical decline as just part of aging. But let me be clear, it's not always your age that makes you weaker, it's what you've stopped doing. You see, your muscles are like trust, they're easy to lose and harder to regain. When you stop using them, even for a few weeks, they begin to shrink. And as strength fades, so does balance. One misstep, one awkward turn, and suddenly life becomes smaller. I once had a patient named Carl, 73, who gave up his morning walks after a minor fall. "I don't want to risk it again," he said. But the truth was, avoiding movement only made him more likely to fall again. We worked together on simple exercises, chair squats, single leg stands, even brushing his teeth while balancing on one foot. And over time, his confidence returned. He wasn't just walking, he was dancing with his wife again on Saturday nights. That's the power of movement. It restores more than muscle. It restores dignity, control, and joy. The research backs it up. Regular strength and balance training reduces fall risk, increases bone density, and helps you move with more confidence. And it doesn't take hours in a gym. Just 10 to 15 minutes a day of focused movement can protect you from injury and even extend your independence by years. So ask yourself, when was the last time you truly challenged your body, not to push it beyond its limits, but to remind it that it's still alive, still capable, still yours? And if you haven't started yet, let this be your sign. But physical movement is only half the story, because just like our muscles weaken when ignored, so do our relationships. And the next hidden habit we need to talk about is just as dangerous: the slow and silent withdrawal from social connection. Let's talk about why pulling away from others may be doing more damage than you think. Letting social circles shrink. What if I told you that the greatest threat to your heart in your senior years isn't cholesterol, it's loneliness? It might sound dramatic, but research shows that isolation can be just as harmful to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And yet, it creeps in so quietly, so subtly, we often don't notice it until we're already sitting alone at the kitchen table, wondering when we last heard someone call just to say hello. I've seen it happen too often: strong, vibrant older adults slowly pulling back from the world, not because they don't care, but because they've convinced themselves that no one needs them anymore, that their presence no longer matters. But let me tell you the truth, you are not invisible, and you are not done. I once met a retired teacher named Rose who hadn't spoken to a friend in weeks. Her children lived far away, and most of her old neighbors had moved or passed on. "I'm used to the quiet now," she said. But the look in her eyes told a different story, one of longing, of missing laughter, of missing life. So we made a simple plan: one call a day, one handwritten note a week, a visit to the local senior center. 3 months later, Rose was hosting afternoon tea for new friends and mentoring a group of young mothers. All it took was a few intentional steps to open the door again. Human beings are wired for connection. It doesn't fade with age. In fact, as we grow older, meaningful connection becomes more essential than ever. Whether it's with an old friend, a grandchild, a church group, or even a neighbor, your voice, your presence, and your story still matter. So ask yourself gently, have you let your circle shrink too much? If so, this is your chance to rebuild it, one hello at a time. But connection isn't just about people. In the next section, we'll explore something just as important: the way your thoughts shape your health. Because when your mindset ages faster than your body, everything else begins to follow. Let's talk about it. The beliefs that age you faster than time itself. What if I told you that what you believe about aging could be aging you faster than anything else? It's not your joints, your wrinkles, or your gray hair that holds you back. It's your mindset. One of the most overlooked causes of early decline isn't physical, it's psychological. When you constantly repeat phrases like, "I'm too old for that," "I'm just slowing down," or "that's a young person's game," your brain listens and your body follows. I've worked with hundreds of seniors, and I can tell you this with confidence: your beliefs create your biology. I once had a client named Joseph, 79 years old. Sharp mind, capable hands, but completely convinced that life had already passed him by. He avoided new challenges, turned down invitations, and spent most days watching TV in silence. But through a few sessions, we worked on one simple shift, changing his language. "I'm too old" became, "I'm still learning." "It's all downhill from here" became, "I still have time." Within weeks, he joined a walking group, started sketching again, something he hadn't done in 40 years, and felt more alive than he had in over a decade. You see, the science backs it up. People with a positive outlook on aging live, on average, 7.5 years longer than those with a negative view. Not because they're lucky, but because their minds support their health, their immune systems stay stronger, and their bodies move with more confidence. So I ask you, what are the stories you've been telling yourself about getting older? Are they lifting you up or slowly wearing you down? Because aging isn't the end of growth, it's the beginning of a new chapter. One filled with wisdom, clarity, and purpose, if you allow it. But even the strongest mindset needs stimulation to stay sharp. In the next part, we'll look at how comfort zones can slowly dull the mind, and why challenging yourself might be the best anti-aging trick no one's talking about. Let's explore that next. The comfort zone that's secretly shrinking your mind. What if your brain wasn't slowing down because of age, but because it hasn't been challenged in years? It's a hard truth, but one I've seen play out time and time again. When we stop learning, stop exploring, stop trying, we don't just stop growing, we start declining. Slowly, quietly, and often without realizing it until it's hard to get that spark back. One of the first signs? Life begins to feel dull, predictable. Days start to blur together. You find yourself watching the same shows, eating the same meals, having the same conversations, not out of joy, but out of habit. And while routine brings comfort, too much of it can become a mental prison. I once worked with a retired engineer named Bill. He was 82, still physically active, but mentally fading. He told me, "I feel like my world's gotten smaller, and I don't know why." So I asked him when he last did something unfamiliar, read a challenging book, played a strategy game, learned a new skill. He thought for a long time and said, "I honestly can't remember." That day, we made a deal, 15 minutes of brain-stretching activity a day. He chose chess and audiobook lectures on astronomy. 3 weeks later, he said, "My mind feels awake again." Science supports this too. Engaging your brain in new ways strengthens neural pathways, slows cognitive decline, and improves memory and mental flexibility. You don't have to go back to school. You just have to stay curious. Try a puzzle. Learn a recipe from another culture. Take up drawing. Join a group that debates ideas. Your brain, like your muscles, thrives on challenge. And here's the emotional truth. Challenging yourself doesn't just sharpen your mind, it restores your sense of purpose. It reminds you that you're still evolving, still expanding, still alive in the fullest sense of the word. So I ask you, when was the last time you did something uncomfortable and exciting? Because avoiding challenge might feel safe, but it slowly robs you of joy, resilience, and discovery. And now, as we head into the final part of this journey, we need to talk about something far more physical, but equally vital: your relationship with touch, connection, and the human need for closeness. Let's go there next. The touch you stopped receiving and why it's hurting more than you think. What if one of your most basic human needs was slowly fading from your life, and no one ever told you how much it mattered? I'm talking about touch, something so simple, so instinctive, yet so often neglected as we grow older. A hug, a pat on the back, holding hands, sitting close to someone. We underestimate how vital it truly is until it's gone. You see, physical touch isn't just about affection. It's medicine. When we touch or are touched, our bodies release oxytocin, the feel-good hormone. It calms the nervous system, lowers blood pressure, eases anxiety, and even helps with pain. I've seen people light up after a simple handshake, or melt into tears after a warm embrace they hadn't felt in months. I once visited a senior care facility where a gentleman named Harold, 85, sat in the same chair every day, rarely speaking. The nurses said he rarely smiled. But one day, a therapy dog visited, and as Harold gently stroked its fur, something changed. He started talking, softly at first, then with laughter. It wasn't just the dog, it was the touch, the warmth, the connection. It was as if someone had flipped a switch inside him. Sadly, many older adults live with touch starvation. Loved ones visit less. Friends move away. We become more cautious, afraid of falling, illness, or being a burden. So we shrink our physical world. But the cost is high. Increased risk of depression, higher stress, even faster physical decline. The good news? You can bring touch back into your life in small, safe, beautiful ways. A daily hug, holding hands with a loved one, sitting beside someone instead of across the room. Even caring for a pet can bring healing through touch. It's not about romance or obligation, it's about connection. You still need it. You still deserve it. So let me ask you, when was the last time someone truly touched your life, physically and emotionally? As we move to the final part of this journey, there's one more silent habit we need to break, perhaps the most underestimated of all: the belief that your eating habits no longer matter. But what you feed your body still shapes how you live each day. And in part 7, we're going to talk about how food can either fuel your energy or quietly drain your life force. Let's dive in. Ignoring nutrition because it's too late. What if the food on your plate today could decide how sharp your mind is tomorrow, or how steady your steps are next week? Many older adults carry the quiet belief that it's too late to change how they eat, that after decades of habits, their diet doesn't really matter anymore. But let me be clear, it absolutely does. In fact, nutrition might be the most underestimated key to aging well. I've worked with older patients who said, "I've eaten this way my whole life, and I'm still here." But then they wonder why their energy crashes by noon, why their joints ache every morning, or why their memory isn't what it used to be. And when we take a closer look, the answer is often on their plate. Processed foods, excess sugar, and refined carbs may be familiar, but they're also silently fueling inflammation, the root of so many age-related issues: arthritis, fatigue, heart problems, even brain fog. But the opposite is also true. When you start adding nutrient-rich foods, leafy greens, healthy fats, colorful fruits, lean proteins, your body responds quickly. I've seen 70-year-olds reverse prediabetes, reduce joint pain, even lift brain fog, all by shifting their diet just a little at a time. Let me tell you about Mrs. Alvarez, 77, struggling with energy and mood swings. She told me, "I just feel heavy inside." Her meals were mostly convenience-based, quick, salty, and sweet. We didn't overhaul everything. We just started with breakfast. We added Greek yogurt, berries, and a sprinkle of flaxseed. Within 2 weeks, she called and said, "I feel lighter, not just in my body, but in my mind." That's the power of mindful nutrition. It's never about strict dieting or starving. It's about fueling your future, one choice at a time. So ask yourself honestly, is your food giving you life or taking it away? And if you followed this journey from the beginning, I hope one truth has become clear. It's never too late to reclaim your strength, your clarity, your joy. Every habit you shift is a step back toward the life you deserve. You don't need a perfect past, just the courage to begin again today. So if something in this video spoke to you, give it a like, subscribe for more, and share in the comments. I choose to thrive. Because you can. And your best years might still be ahead. If you've made it to this point in the video, I want to take a moment to speak directly to you, not just as a health expert, but as someone who deeply believes in your ability to thrive, no matter your age. The truth is, aging isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you get to shape. With every decision you make, every habit you shift, every limiting belief you let go of, you're either moving closer to vitality or slowly drifting from it. And the most powerful part? You get to choose starting today. We've talked about the silent habits that quietly steal your strength. Believing you're too old to change, giving up movement, withdrawing from relationships, holding on to negative beliefs, avoiding challenge, missing the human need for touch, and underestimating the power of food. These aren't just behaviors, they're patterns. And once you see them clearly, you can begin to break them, gently, one by one. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to start, with one habit, one step, one moment of courage. Maybe today is the day you go for that walk. Call an old friend. Try a new recipe. Write in a journal. Maybe it's the day you stop saying, "I can't," and start whispering, "Maybe I can." Because I promise you this, life doesn't stop giving when you turn 60 or 70 or 80, but we often stop receiving. And it's time you open the door again. If this video spoke to you, if it sparked something inside you, I'd love to hear it. Backhand index pointing right, give this video a thumbs up to let us know it mattered. Backhand index pointing right, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Backhand index pointing right, and most importantly, leave a comment below and tell me, which habit are you ready to change first? Or simply write, "I choose to thrive," because you deserve a life that feels alive. And it starts now.